Hello, this is Donald Jenkins, your Master Purpose Development Coach, CEO of the Purpose Development Institute in Atlanta, Georgia. And welcome to Crushing Average TV, the only place online where you can master insight on how to reverse the effects of purpose deficit disorder, or better known as PDD. Now, you might be asking, what in the world is PDD? Listen, if you continue to tune in to this broadcast or subscribe to this channel, I promise you will begin to understand what purpose deficit disorder is and how it relates to you specifically as a ministry leader. So make sure that you like this video, comment on this video, and more importantly, share and subscribe to this channel, because there's a ton of resources that I'm putting out that's going to help you understand how to increase your acumen when it comes to working with the people that are part of your ministry. So today I want to talk about something that's extremely special to here at the Purpose Development Institute or the PDI Smart Academy. Because I've been in ministry for well over 35 years, we are a fan of ministry leaders. In other words, we champion the cause of ministry leaders. We are one of the ones that's going to congratulate you for being on the front lines of saving souls. I understand the work that you are involved in when it comes to preparing for your messages every week, the time that you put into that. And more importantly, you want to make sure that you have a high return on the time that you invested in that. But unfortunately, we're living in a time where the conditions for the word of God to grow has never been worse like we see it right now. And that's the reason why it's important for us to unpack this message that I'm going to be talking about today. And that is, why are you preaching to members with unhealthy roots? That's right. We do that from Sunday in, from Sunday out. Now, you and I both know that from a practical standpoint, that there's no way that we will put a seed in a ground that's not conducive to allow that seed to grow. But yet at the same time, we continue to do that when it comes to the Word of God. We understand that the Word of God is God's seed. It's a high-performing seed. But yet at the same time, we realize, and we can see on many occasions, that the people that we're preaching to, they have a low-performing heart. And it's not anything to their fault or to their detriment. It is to their detriment. It's an issue that we must address as ministry leaders, because that undermines the efficacy of the word. It's one of the most counterproductive things that you can get involved in as a ministry leader. And that's the last thing that you want to do, is to continue to be counterproductive Sunday in, Sunday out. Midweek Bible study in, midweek Bible study out. We want to work smart and not hard. So this video is going to be extremely important, because I'm going to unpack a phenomenon that we discovered in our research at the doctoral level that will help us mitigate that risk, that will help us understand how to help the members that we are working with understand how to clean up their root system, so that now you get a higher return on the messages that you are preaching, because now you're able to hit what we call the discipleship sweet spot. Yep, that's right. There's a sweet spot that you can hit. And it's just like any other sweet spot, is that once you hit that sweet spot, you're going to get more power with least amount of effort. And that same thing applies in ministry. Is that once you hit the discipleship sweet spot, you're going to be able to get more power out of your messages, more power out of the work, the vision that God has called you to do, with the least amount of effort. Now, does that sound good? Because that's certainly the place that I want to be in my business, and I certainly want to be in that place when I am working with ministry leaders. So let's unpack this. And one of the things that we discovered as a phenomenon in our research is that there are two layers when it comes to self-transformation or developing people. And we can apply that to discipleship. So when you're discipling the people in your church, you have to always think two layers, all right? Because it is going to allow you to be more strategic in being able to improve the efficacy of your ministry. Now, let's talk about the first layer. You see the graphic that I have on the screen. The graphic that I have on the screen, on the top, it highlights everything that you're doing as a ministry leader. Salvation is important. We want to make sure that we are saving souls. We want to make sure that we're preaching the word, church attendance, love, faith, unity, Bible study, evangelism, all of the things that we can think of, Sunday school, children's ministry, everything that's associated with ministry, all those things occur on the first layer. Now, here's one thing you have to understand about the first layer, and that is that this is the layer where we improve their fellowship with God. So again, congratulations for doing such an awesome job of improving their fellowship with God. You want them to join your church because you want to be able to help them improve their fellowship with God. That's the reason why you want them to come to church. You want them to come and fellowship with believers, and you want them to come and understand how to fellowship around God's throne through worship and praise and the word of God being ministered. And these things are great. So these are all the things that we experience Sunday in and Sunday out. But as you can see on the screen, there's another layer. And that second layer is where we have to begin to shift our focus when it comes to making disciples. Because disciples are made on that second layer, not so much on that first layer. Yeah, there's a lot of things that we do on that first layer, but if we want to improve the efficacy of making disciples, we have to start with the second layer. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when you understand how to do second layer work, this is the work where you understand how to help the members in your church break fellowship with the forces of darkness. See, there's what we call decision categories. And there are 8 decision categories that we all have in common. Every person in your ministry, they have these things in common. And these are the things these are decisions that they make to interact with the world. And unfortunately, the world that we live in is very crafty and wise at making sure that they are not making decisions that are powered by purpose. And if they're not making decisions that are powered by purpose, then it's going to undermine the efficacy of what it is that you are preaching. They're going to struggle to grow. In other words, they are going to have unhealthy roots, which is going to make it difficult to grow anything on the first layer. So there is the problem that we're having in church. And it's not just in church. We're working with, major universities. We're working with corporate leaders with the same problem. This problem is everywhere. So I definitely want to make sure that God's people, the church, is on the cutting edge of being able to solve this problem. In fact, we're supposed to be leading in this area. But in many cases, we have no idea that this area even exists. Now, on the second layer, this is where we begin to give you, your ministry, what we call the disciples' edge. Because we're living in a world where people, members, they're losing that edge to be disciple. We never had social media the way that we have social media. The post-COVID church, COVID changed everything in church. So we have to make sure we rethink the way that we make disciples. And it begins on that second layer. And this is the reason why it's important for us to understand how to do this work, how to engage in what we call the disciples' edge. That's the reason why we created the license program. Now, here's the deal. With the license program, we've done all the homework. We've done the homework. We've done the research. We spent tens of thousands of dollars to make sure that we could create the largest body of content in the world to educate our clients on the second layer. So we certainly are the experts in becoming your second layer partner. We make your job a whole lot easier. In other words, we are there to help you, your ministry, your leaders, hit that discipleship sweet spot. See, maybe you don't have all the resources that we have. The time I spent well over 30,000 hours doing this work, writing tens of thousands of pages of content. You don't have to do that. That's the reason why we created the license program, so that you can engage in a resource that's going to accelerate, allow your ministry to make a quantum leap when it comes to helping your members check in to their highest growth potential. And in closing, I want to talk about one of the resources that's a part of our Disciples Edge license program, and it's what we call the box prayer. I know that you understand the importance of prayer. Prayer is extremely important. So this is a very powerful tool that I created actually well over 20 years ago. And I am a 20-year box prayer user, and I certainly understand the value of using the box prayer to build my ministry, to build my business, to build my marriage, to work with my kids, every aspect of my life. This is the nucleus for your ministry. Now you might be saying, what in the world is the box prayer? I've never heard of the box prayer. That's the reason why I want to introduce this to you in our license program, because it's a very powerful practical tool. So here's the deal. We live in a world that is designed to undermine your members' ability for them to align their behavior to do God's will. That's the reason why you're preaching and you're teaching very hard and very good. But members are still coming up short when it comes to aligning their behavior to do God's will. So what God allowed me to do was to create a very powerful tool based on our research that is a practical application of helping members understand how to align their behavior to do God's will. You're talking about a tool to hit the discipleship sweet spot. You're talking about making a quantum leap in allowing your members to check into their highest growth potential, or making a quantum leap in helping your members improve the efficacy of what they get from the messages that you're preaching. It's going to allow them to have higher takeaways from your ministry. It's going to put them in a position where now they're going to be able to join forces with you in prayer for the vision that God has given you, because of this powerful tool right here that is designed to help them understand how to transform their heart into a spiritual sanctuary. See, for years we've been preaching and we've been inviting people to the physical sanctuary. But now, the climate that we're living in right now, we need to understand how to help people transform their heart into a spiritual sanctuary. And that's what this tool will help you do. It's a part of our license program. It's a part of the second layer of work. This is the second layer of work where there's an unseen enemy that work in this area, and it wreak havoc in this area simply because we don't have these resources in place. So again, I just want to use this video to, number one, introduce myself, introduce our license program, and to invite you, allow us to be your partner, your second layer partner. Put resources in place that's going to allow you to work smarter in ministry and not hard, because now you're hitting that discipleship sweet spot where you're able to get more power with the least amount of effort. So make sure that you get back with the person that shared this video with you. Make sure that you reach out to us on our website, www.purposefitskills.com. And I look forward to being able to have a free discovery call with you. Let's talk about some of the needs that you have in your ministry, and how my company, the PDI Smart Academy, the Purpose Development Institute, how we can join forces with you to be able to help you understand how to create healthier root system, and you can experience the growth that you deserve in your ministry. There's no time to delay. All right. The time to implement these systems are right now. God bless you. And I look forward to hearing from you and working with you.